Greetings all, and welcome to the 5 quarters of a whole idiot podcast. We're live once again on Twitch and YouTube right this instant, and also you can hear our voices on Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify, not Apple Music. My name is Noah, and I'm joined for the first time ever in this podcast's illustrious 10-year history with 4 co-hosts besides myself this evening. We're going to go down the list. We're just going to introduce ourselves real quick. We have an icebreaker question. I don't remember if I said my name, but I'm Noah. Hello. To my right, first on the screen is Spect over here. How's it going?
What a great time to have a shitty connection.
Oh
Awesome.
no! Yeah, right.
Oh, I know we're good. We're good. Dude, it wouldn't.
Oh no!
Oh no!
I like how we're all trading off. As soon as Noah reconnected, Spec started disconnecting.
No.
Wait, did my voice go away?
Yeah, it cut out for
Yeah,
half a
yeah.
second.
Oh, okay.
But you're good now.
Oh,
And then Spec just died. Woo.
Okay, Spec
Spec,
gave
are
a
you
thumbs
back?
up.
Are you good? Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Shout out Discord, everybody.
Yeah, so just for context, we are live during the great Discord outage of August 7th. Of course, we finally get everybody together. And this is what happens.
But we power through.
Okay. Spec. Okay, we're gonna move on to Austin, and maybe we'll be able to get you going. Austin, how's it going, baby?
Oh, it's phenomenal, baby. How are you?
Good. I'm good. So, yeah.
Favorite sports game I've ever.
I didn't even say the. You're spoiling the icebreaker. I
You
didn't even get
literally,
to.
you already mentioned it. You asked Spec.
Like now, just now when we were
Yeah,
live?
right before his connection. Yes, you already said it.
Oh, all right, Austin. What's your favorite sports game you've ever been to?
Celtics game. I think the year was 2019 or 2018 or 2019. Isaiah Thomas was leading the Celtics still. They were playing the Toronto Raptors at home, and me and Lexi went to the game. They went into overtime, and Isaiah Thomas steals the win. Mr. Fourth Quarter. We're all chanting MVP chants for Isaiah Thomas. It was the most I don't know. I never felt like such a crowd before. It was electric.
Nice. All right, Specs.
For sure.
I see your camera.
I'm alive.
Yeah, okay. All right. Favorite sports game of all time that you've been to?
When I went to the Patriots Jaguars AFC Championship game, and it was like literally brings me to tears thinking about it. It was like the most magical night of my life, and Kevin was with me.
All right.
That's
Next
a good
up,
one.
Jay over here. Jay, how you doing?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Not too bad.
Let's hear your favorite sports game you've ever been to.
Yeah, I went to the 2021 AL wildcard game between the Red Sox and Yankees at Fenway Park,
Nice.
where the Red Sox destroyed the Yankees. Chase Garrett Cole in like the 3rd inning, I think.
Yeah.
Incredible atmosphere, but great game.
All right. Everybody has cooler games than me, but I'll share mine in a second. Kevin, hello. What is your favorite sports game you've ever been to?
So my favorite sports game is the same game as Specs. Like he said, we went there and that night was magical. But for the sake of spreading out the love, since he took that one, I will mention my close second was when I was also with Spect at a Patriots game. It was Chiefs Patriots, and it was the same night as the Red Sox playing in the ALCS against Houston. So there's this magical moment of watching this absolute barn burner between the Pats and Chiefs. This is where they like Tyreek got like a 60-yard touchdown at the end of the game, and then we drove down and we ended up winning like 33-30. But at the same time, you could look around and there was like 15 phones in view of people watching the ALCS, and they were all synced up. And it was really cool.
That's like
To round this out, my favorite game I've been to is probably, I don't remember. Unfortunately, I don't remember what year David Ortiz retired, but I saw him during his final season with the Red Sox, and I remember it was probably like the 8th inning or something like that. And my dad looked at me and said, "This is the last time you're going to see David Ortiz live, probably." And I was like, "You're right." And then he hit a home run in that at bat. And I remember I pulled out my phone and I recorded it. And I forgot to save the video. I put it on my story, and I can't find it on my story memories.
That's
So
gross.
that
no.
video is a lot. I got a video of him rounding the bases and the crowd So it somehow makes it more special because I can't actually go and see that, but like I remember it. There's a bunch of other games that I could name too that I've been to, but that one is especially that is the one I think about the most. So
See, every year,
copy.
like clockwork, I think it's January 16th or something. All the memories from that Jaguars game comes up, and it's like 5 minutes worth of snap footage because it's just we're taking so many videos of us going crazy.
yeah, I don't know why I always get spammed with Snapchat memories of random things I don't remember, but the one thing I actually
Same.
want, I can't get. So, all right.
That's not the point of them if you don't remember them.
Yeah, I suppose. All right, we are here this evening for I think this is the 5th podcast installment of our 2025 NFL season preview. On the night of recording, the first preseason game is happening. I don't remember what the two teams are, but like football season's here, guys. College is starting up in a couple weeks. We are about a month away from the beginning of the regular season. So we're here. It's exciting. So tonight we are going to continue on from our previous episode where we tier listed all 16 AFC teams in the NFL. Tonight is the NFC. This is all leading up to kind of, I think, what the 6th installment of this is going to be is hopefully another like larger cast of us coming together and predicting more of what's going to happen this season. But for tonight, we're just kind of feeling out where the NFC is right now. I've created a slideshow with some at-a-glance information about all 16 teams in the NFC. We got a lot of us tonight, so I'm going to especially try to take more of a backseat, kind of be the MC of kind of introducing the teams, and then we'll field the discussion. You guys can kind of take it from there. We'll throw them into the tiers, and we'll try to do this in a timely fashion. Kevin, you were the brainchild behind our tiers in the previous episode. Do you want to intro the tiers that we have? I brought them back. We can change them, but I just brought back the exact same ones. Why don't you just run down the list?
I think it's good to bring them back the same, so we get kind of an even look between the two divisions. Especially since we started formatting the top 3 as playoffs. Before we get into this, to answer your question, Colts are up on the Ravens 3-0 right now, 4 minutes into the first. Anyways, so first we have the Super Bowl contender. This will more or less, we kind of use this last week as like the two teams that made it to the AFC Championship, I believe. Then there is a very deep playoff run, and this was the teams that lost in the divisional round. Then we have bounced in the first round, which is pretty self-explanatory. We've choked out of playoffs, which is the teams that, were either in that wild card spot or were battling for it, but at the end of the season, they just couldn't get it done and were, 1 or 2 games out. Then we have drafting top 10 next year, which is like, the lower half of being outside of the playoffs, but not entirely dog shit, maybe like a solid 7-10 or like 8-9 type deal. You're just, below 500, but not the worst. And then first pick forever dead failure is the Cleveland Browns. So, if we have a team equivalent to the Cleveland Browns around here, then we will gladly slot them in there.
Excellent. So the way I have this like slideshow set up is by division in order, like of how the standings were. So first place team through fourth. I don't care what division we start with. I'll let you guys decide. But once we pick a division, we just got to go in order for my own sake. So does anybody have a hard preference on which division we want to start with?
I say we keep it easy. Just run it from the top. Slide
All right.
one.
All right, we'll start with slide one. So, I have a couple of slides for all these teams. I'll go over the stuff that we have. The first slide for each team is going to have just their season outcome, their record, how they did in their division, did they make the playoffs or not, what happened in their playoff run. The following slide is going to have information on how they finished statistically as a team in 5, I think, statistical categories. The slide after that will have the passing, receiving, and rushing leader for said team. The fourth slide for a team will have the off-season additions and trades, re-signings, and then the final slide for that team will have departures for that team. So we will start with the Philadelphia Eagles, reigning Super Bowl champions, finished 14-3 on the season, and they won the Super Bowl, if you didn't know, 40-22 versus the Chiefs. An absolute massacre to stop the three-peat. Running down some by the numbers stuff. The Eagles finished 7th in the NFL in points for with 463, second in the NFL in points against with 303. Total yards were 8th with 6,242. Total defensive yards, they led the NFL with 4,732. I should probably just say the per game averages instead. They held teams to 278.4 yards per game. And then their turnover differential was plus 11. They were 6th in the NFL. Passing leader, Jalen Hurts. Rushing leader was Saquon Barkley. And the receiving leader was A.J. Brown. Stats are on the screen. Biggest thing to know here, Jalen Hurts, he does his job, as Kevin said. That's where we tier listed him, current reigning Super Bowl MVP. My question for you guys is, should we kind of start talking here before we talk about, numbers and whatnot, or not numbers, but, the personnel changes? Let's do this for each team. Let's just have a quick open forum about the season that was for the Eagles. Not much probably needs to be said at this point, but what do you guys want to throw out there before we look at what's changed and what's staying the same for them?
Nothing outside of that. They're probably just going to repeat. I think they are very strong contenders for the Super Bowl this season again. And honestly, I'm kind of here for it. I'm not much of an Eagles fan, but the way that they destroyed the Chiefs last Super Bowl, I'm kind of rooting for them to do it again.
Yeah, I mean, you can't say much more about a team that finished top 8 in everything. So
yeah.
They were elite, if not close to elite, all across the board.
And they didn't lose much.
No, they did not.
They lost Milton Williams, but that's about it.
Yeah, let's we'll go there first. We'll go look at departures. Departures are on the screen. All of these are from NFL.com. Pretty up to date for all the teams.
Kenny Pickett.
There might be a couple of things that are more recent, but you can see they lost a couple of pieces on the defensive end. Darius Slay, Gardner Johnson, Milton Williams, various people like that. Looking at re-signings and additions also on the screen. Most notable stuff here, they wrapped up Barkley on a larger deal. They brought in some offensive tackles / re-signed some. Yeah, I mean, it looks like more or less they're kind of running it back with a lot of their major key pieces, and they just kind of shifted some stuff around.
Yeah.
All right. Let's put them somewhere. Where do we want to put the Eagles, boys?
Super Bowl contender.
Yeah, they're obvious.
They're at the top until they're not, man.
For sure.
They're gonna have to prove it that they're not as good, and I don't think there'll be any problems next year.
Yeah.
The only question is their defense, because they've lost so many pieces all across the board. They pulled in some, and they have some really good rookies from last year, but that's still a question mark. Even with that, they're still pretty nasty. So
yeah,
they
they'll be fine.
easily make NFC Championship.
They'll be fine.
If they don't, I'd be surprised.
they got a tank of Saquon Barkley rushing 2,000 yards last season, and doing reverse hurdles over people. So like, he'll do it again. Maybe not 2,000 yards, but he can. He's a weapon that nobody wants to face.
Yeah.
Oh, here we go.
They have to be. I'm imagining they're the Vegas favorites to win.
They are the third highest favorites going
Yeah.
into the season. All right. Any final thoughts on the Eagles before we move on? Okay. Next up, I think one of the biggest surprises of the 2024 season was the Washington Commanders. 2024, they finished second in their division with a 12-5 record. Lost the NFC Championship game against the Eagles, which when you lose to a team like the Eagles with the situation that the Commanders had, you couldn't have asked for a better season for them.
Agreed.
They finished fifth in the NFL in points for 28.5 points per game, and 18th. I think I have the wrong number here in average points per game. That's definitely not correct. But they had 391 points against as a team, which was 18th in the NFL. 367.2 offensive yards per game was good for 7th in the NFL. Total defensive yards was 278.4 per game, which was 13th. And turnover differential was just a +1, which puts them pretty much right in the middle, 15th in the NFL. And on the offensive side of things, their passing leader was, of course, Jaden Daniels. Rushing leader was also Jaden Daniels. But I also included Brian Robinson Jr., who, of course, was their starting running back, who had a decent season himself. And then the receiving leader was Terry McLaurin, who had basically the best season of his career, with Jaden Daniels throwing to him. Before we go on to personnel, what do you guys have to say about the Commanders?
Probably one of the biggest shocks of last season, but I mean, Jaden Daniels balled out last year.
Yeah.
Yeah, hopefully there's.
I'm a.
Here you go.
I was just
Yeah, I was
gonna
just gonna say
hopefully
I'm a
there's not
big
much of
Jaden
a
Daniels
sophomore
guy. I was
slump.
talking about Jaden Daniels. That's
Go
what I
ahead,
think
Zach.
there is going to be. I think it was a little lightning in a bottle. I think it was a little lightning in a bottle. I don't know if they're going to be as good next year. Now that there's actually tape on Jaden Daniels, there's actually something to study against. Because I mean, I just don't think they, especially if Terry McLaurin's gone, I just don't think there's any way that they can replicate all that again.
Yeah, and that's of course the biggest question is what's going to wind up happening with Terry McLaurin. Have there been
Right.
any more developments on that front? Still
Not
just
to my
kind of
knowledge.
demanding a trade.
Were you going to say something else, Austin? I know we kind of got a couple.
No,
of
I was just gonna say, I personally, I'm rooting for him. I hope he doesn't fall into a sophomore slump. I think he has the talent to stay out of it, but it definitely depends on the weapons around him. But we'll see. I'm rooting for him.
All right. So we'll look at re-signings and additions, the whole laundry list over here. I've said this in the last show that we did. I definitely know less defensive names than offensive names. So if anybody has any, things that they're noticing from the defensive side of the ball that maybe no one else is saying, just throw it out there. But biggest additions for this team is really Deebo Samuel coming in from the 49ers. We kind of diagnosed him as kind of like he's maybe not as good as people think he is, at least off of his last couple of seasons. But in an offense like this, he could probably thrive and be, a very dynamic playmaker for them. And then looking at the departures, not many people exiting the team. So they're bringing back pretty much everybody. They don't have KJ Osborne and Jamison Crowder anymore. So there's a question of like if Terry McLaurin isn't coming back as well, it's going to be kind of like a different looking wide receiver room. Maybe not as talented either. So
Wait, but it says KJ Osborne re-signed on your other side, right here.
why does it say both?
Because he's still free agent there. He doesn't have a team next to him on the departures.
Oh, I
So
see.
one of them probably just wasn't updated.
There you
Oh,
go.
right. Okay.
Good eye. All right.
So he's
They
re-signed. So
signed
they
the
didn't lose him.
ghost of Von Miller.
Yep, he did resign. So they do have KJ Osborne, which is good, especially if McLaurin is not coming back.
Most important thing to take from that arrival / resigns list is that like 70 to 80% of this looks like it's all just re-signed. And I think that at least shows that players are excited about whatever is going on here, whatever project they're putting together. So if you have this amount of buy-in, maybe you can at least go somewhere with that. But faith can only get you so far in the NFL. You got to actually put together a season. So,
Yeah.
like Spec said, I think it might be a one-off. I think they might be like wild card round this year, but
Gonna be, that's what I'm thinking. I'm not saying they're gonna go like 9 wins, 8 wins, or something like that, but 12-5 is really, really good, and I don't think they can do that again. They do have the luxury of beating up on the Cowboys twice a year and beating up on the Giants twice a year, but the Giants did get a little better.
Yeah, it should be noted I didn't put draft day stuff on these slides, but of course a lot of teams got a lot of pieces in the draft, so feel free to point that stuff out as we continue on. Where do we want to put the Commanders on this list?
Bounced in the first round.
Yeah, I think they get bounced in the first round.
Consensus,
I
yeah.
agree.
Okay. Heard it here first.
I think there might be a little bit of turmoil between bounce in the first round and a deep playoff run. I might have to end up swapping some opinions near the end because it's the NFC's kind of wishy-washy around that area.
We should also point out, too, that between Super Bowl contender and bounce in the first round, this has to be 7 teams for the sake of, what a playoff bracket actually looks like. So once we get there, just something to think about when we finalize everything. So, all right, let's go to a team that I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. Just saying. The Dallas Cowboys. Wow. Okay, so the Dallas Cowboys, America's team, finished 7-10. That did get them 3rd place in the NFC East, and they did not make the playoffs as a result, if you can imagine that.
Just throw them at the bottom of this whole tier list. Let's do everybody the favor.
So,
well, especially
Why
if they
waste the
lose
time?
Micah Parsons. It's like, what's the point? Yeah, why
waste the time?
Yeah,
God, I didn't realize their stats were this bad.
Yeah,
they were atrocious. Like really, really bad.
So we'll run down the list. The Cowboys averaged 20.6 points per game, 21st in the NFL. Team scored 27.5 points against the Cowboys. That was 31st in the NFL. I believe the only team that beats them in this category is coming up in a little bit. Total offensive yards, 328.4 per game, 17th, so right around the middle. Most respectable stat we have here. Total defensive yards, they allowed 355.2 per game, which was 28th in the NFL. Turnover differential was -6, which ties them at 25 with, I believe, 3 or 4 other teams. Looking at by the numbers, statistical leaders. Oh, this is wrong. Saquon Barkley is not a Cowboy. I don't know why this didn't update. It's supposed to be. So the stats are correct, but it's
they're making a run next year.
Yeah. Yeah. When you're managing like 80 slides, you're bound to make some mistakes. So I apologize for that. But Dak Prescott was their passing leader.
That's how good he is.
8 games played, notably injured, of course, but the rushing leader was Rico Dowdle, who is now no longer with the team. He's now a Panther, notably. And then the receiving leader was CeeDee Lamb, who was shut down at the end of the season. So, I mean, his stats were still great for 15 games, but they blew it up at the end, and he didn't finish the season. Before we move on to personnel, of course, let's talk about the season that was for the Cowboys. Throw it out there, guys.
Terrible, man. It's a shame because the Cowboys were kind of exciting a few years ago. They had something going, and then when it was time to start adding things, they just didn't. They just didn't add anything. And now the one thing that they really had, Micah Parsons is asking to leave. Crazy.
Yeah, if they lose Micah Parsons, they're dead in the water.
Oh, done.
Yeah.
If Micah Parsons is gone,
dead.
CeeDee Lamb needs to be following him out the door. Like, I would not be staying around to figure out what happens.
All right. So looking at re-signings and additions, they did get Joe Milton, which as a Patriots fan, I don't know. It would have been nice to hold on to him. We never really got to see what he could do. But, hopefully we have our quarterback, so that shouldn't be an issue. But they did bring in George Pickens, Miles Sanders, Javonte Williams. They brought in a couple of pieces offensively. But that's kind of it in terms of big changes they've made to their personnel. Looking at departures, we should really start with departures, and I think I'm going to start doing that. It should also be noted that Cooper Rush and Trey Lance both played. They played the rest of those 9 games that Dak didn't play, and now they don't have either of them anymore. But here are your departures on the screen. And then, Micah Parsons might be part of that situation as well, but we'll have to see.
I feel like your players got to be bad when all the teams you're seeing signing your departures are Jags, Saints, Giants, Panthers, Titans. It's like the bottom of the leaderboards just buying from your team. Like, you got to be bad.
Right.
Oh, speaking of bad, let's not go there to the Giants yet. Let's place the Cowboys somewhere here on this tier list.
Probably draft in top 10 next year.
Yeah, they got to be.
Yeah, I can't imagine. They didn't even have that spectacular of a draft. They added like their first pick was a lineman, their second pick was an edge rusher. I don't know. They're down there, man. They're going to be picking top 10 for sure, at least for next year.
Thomas in chat says, how long do you really think they can keep Dak? 10 years and nothing of note. They kept Tony Romo for just about as long. And
shout out loyalty.
Yeah, I think Dak's their guy. I mean, he's on a big contract there anyways. Isn't he paid like oodles of money? I don't know what his contract is, but
he was like one of the highest paid quarterbacks at the time.
Right.
He makes $60 million a year.
When does that end? Do you have that in front of you?
Let's see.
60 million for Dak?
Yep.
He was good. He was good for a while.
He was.
He is signed through the 2028 season.
There you go.
With a potential out after 2027.
Hands in the air. I'll fully admit it. I'm a Dak hater. I've never liked the guy. All right. Yeah, I've always thought he was a bum. It doesn't matter what kind of season he was having. I thought he was dog shit.
He's carried me through some fantasy seasons. I don't think Dak Prescott's a bad quarterback. I just don't think that the Cowboys franchise know what they're doing.
You unfortunately have as many rings as he does, so. All right, guys, let's move on to the New York Giants. They finished 3-14.
New York Giants.
Sorry, Austin, I had to do that. So the Giants finished 3-14 in the NFL last season, 4th in the NFC East. Almost made the playoffs, but they just quite they just barely didn't make it. So the Giants, if you thought the Cowboys were bad, get a load of this one. For our next trick, we have the New York Giants. 16.1 points per game. 31st in the NFL. There was a team that was worse than this in the NFL. They had 27.5 points scored against them, which was 21st in the NFL. Total offensive yards, 291.9 per game, 30th in the NFL. They allowed 343.4 yards per game, which was 24th in the NFL. And their turnover differential was -8, which was 26th in the NFL. So here we go. Passing leader, Daniel Jones, no longer on the team. Rushing leader was Tyrone Tracy, and the receiving leader was Malik Neighbors. So there you go. We're just throwing it all out. Malik Neighbors was targeted like 300 times last season because he was just the only option that team had to have any sort of offensive spark. Dang. Talk to me about the Giants, boys.
Bottom tier.
It's rough.
There's no.
Hey, the only way is up. Am I right? Like, surely they don't do worse than 3.
The only thing I'll add is they had a good draft. They did have a good draft. I'm the college guy. They did have a good draft. They drafted like what they're calling like a generational pass rusher. I mean, Abdul Carter's comp is like Micah Parsons. Jackson Dart, who probably will be starting by week 7. Cam Scadaboo, who might be starting by week 7. Like they got some. The top 4 picks are pretty good. So I mean, like, and who knows? Jameis Winston, you never know what you're gonna get.
Yeah, Jameis Winston's a dog when he's not throwing interceptions.
Yeah, it's probably gonna be Russ's job, which is gross. But I'd rather have Jameis Winston huck that bitch around.
Yeah, they did.
Might as well. I mean,
go ahead, Jay.
Guess they might as well just have Winston huck it around. What else do you have to lose this season?
Literally.
Yeah, right.
That was the biggest crime of the Browns last season when they sucked and they just didn't let Jameis fucking whip it around for no reason.
Yep. At least would have been good PR for their team because he's like the master of like the goofy SpongeBob like interviews. Like he's just he's like what's his name? Jamal Williams, is that his name?
Yeah.
Which I hope he's on a roster. I don't remember if he is, but that's like the same. That's the comp I would give him for like personality trait. But
I think he's still a Saint.
I don't remember. I had it down earlier when I made the Saints slide, but we'll find out in a little bit. So in terms of players that were lost by the Giants, they lost 8 people total from their season. Oh my god! I just looked up Jamal Williams on my phone, and the first picture of him, respect to this guy, he looks terrifying. Oh my god. I'm just gonna hold it up to the camera on the stream. You guys can look him up if you want. Oh my god. That like it actually was like a fucking jump scare. Okay. So anyways, in terms of who the Giants have brought on besides the draft, they brought back Tommy DeVito. Just wanted to point that out with the coolest agent in the NFL, Tony Soprano. Yeah, so they have Russell Wilson, who is, I mean, he's probably going to be the day one starter. One would assume that the fact that they brought him in, and then some various people that you can see a lot of people on the other side of the ball. So they're really kind of keeping it together in terms of who they have available to them offensively. It's going to be. I'm high on Malik Neighbors in fantasy. Everybody should be looking at him because he's still pretty much he's the lifeblood of this team in a way that almost nobody else is, like to generate offensively. The hope is that he has someone that can throw to him. I think Russell Wilson is still confident enough to find a connection, but
they're trying at a minimum. Like I don't recognize some of these names on defense. Like you said, it's people don't pay attention to defense as much, which is kind of a shame, but I'm guilty of it too. But they got, 3-year 54 million, 3-year 45 million. Those aren't like nothing contracts, So like they're trying to sign people, I guess. So, it's,
I have
it's better than other teams.
I have a quick question. In the defensive lineman Jeremiah Ledbetter, signing a 1-year. What?
1775.
How much money is bro making?
He's making almost $1.7 billion
for 1 year.
The Giants
for 1 year,
we don't.
They're Super Bowl contenders with that guy on the defense. That's all I'm saying.
He gets like 77 sacks next year.
That's
Jeremiah
crazy.
Ledbetter is actually Matt from Wii Sports.
He's the new goat.
All right. So that's the Giants. Where do we want to put them, all told? To round out the NFC.
Next year.
I'm with Thomas and Chad. If they still had Daniel Jones, we'd be talking Super Bowl contender. But clearly, they're probably our first pick for Ever Dead Failure.
Yeah, of the NFC for sure.
Their ceiling is drafting top 10. Like I don't think they go any higher than that.
What we're gonna see too, and I agree with where we put the Giants. I think they probably are the worst team in the conference, and that's saying something. As we go through the rest of these divisions, the NFC is actually it's going to be very competitive like it was last season. There are a lot more like at least mediocre teams than there are in the AFC, I feel like.
Yeah, the wild card race is going to be insane, and then it's weird where like those wild card teams can be scrappy enough to like challenge the Eagles, but you would never expect them in the Super Bowl. Like if they made it, you're like, they're done. Like that's it.
Yeah.
Like if the Commanders made the Super Bowl last year, I'd be like, that's it. All right, Chiefs won the Super Bowl.
Cooked. Yep.
But like, the Commanders are so scrappy. It's just weird like that.
All right. Let's move on to our next division. We got the NFC North up next. So we're going to start off with the winner of that division, the Detroit Lions, who finished 15-2 on the season. So yeah, speaking of teams that can, compete with the juggernauts of the conference, they did lose in the divisional rounds to the Commanders, 31-45 in that game. It should be said, and we'll talk about this a bit as we go, the Lions were not a healthy team all season, so that should we'll put that caveat out there as we go on. But they did lead the NFL in points for 33.2 points per game, and also held their opponents to 20.1 points per game, which was 7th in the NFL. They were also 7th in the NFL in total offensive yards at 409.5 per game, 20th in the NFL in total defensive yards, 278.4 per game. And they had a turnover differential of +9, which was 8th in the NFL. So other than the defensive yards allowed, we're looking at top 8 in everything, including first overall in another one. So let's go ahead and look at their. Oh, we're getting our Twitch chat's getting spammed by an NFL bot. We're gonna take care of that as we go. At the same exact time. My God, there's an NFL game streaming on NFL HD.com. Just so you know, guys, make sure you go there.
Totally.
So the passing leader, of course, was Jared Goff, who had a phenomenal season. Rushing leader was Jahmyr Gibbs. I also included David Montgomery here because that's the best two-headed monster at running back in the league. He had 12 touchdowns on his own, and of course, Amon-Ra St. Brown was the receiving leader. Let's talk about the Lions season. What do you guys think of them right now?
They're my NFC team. Like, I want them in the Super Bowl so bad.
I would love that.
I want them so bad.
I wanted them to make it last year.
I think the Lions have all the pieces to win the Super Bowl, but I like Jared Goff as a quarterback. I don't think Jared Goff is going to win a Super Bowl.
It's a shame.
Could see that.
Arguably, I know we haven't gotten to the departure page yet, but the most important part, they did lose their OC. They're very good OC.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's gonna be tough.
I think that's the scariest part about this team is like their departure list is, I don't really see anything too bad. I've heard a lot of, maybe it's just New England sports pages giving hype, but people have been hyping up Carlton Davis a lot. So
yeah, he's good.
Seeing him leave the Lions is not good for them, but it doesn't show the most important part. They lost like all of their coaching, like everyone except for Dan Campbell, like throughout the board. Even their second wide receivers coach is like gone, and it's like, all right, well, how do you put the pieces back together now? How do you build back for last season, especially when last season you had it was honestly amazing, but then you crash out. So how do you overcome crashing out while also building your coaching department back up? So I'm nervous for the upcoming season for these guys.
Yeah. They didn't have a spectacular draft. I remember when they drafted their first pick, it was like a big shock that they reached so far down for that guy, or up for that guy, I suppose. So it might be a regress, which is a shame because, man, they had it so bad. If it wasn't for injuries and Jordan Love, they would have had something.
Yeah, the injuries just stacked up on the defense, and that the Commanders took advantage of that in the divisional round.
For sure.
They had a very special season last year, though, up until that point.
Yeah, so on your screen are the re-signings and additions. Very few offensive additions here. A lot of various like free agent signings and whatnot for the Lions over here, including Kirby Joseph on the bottom here, 4-year, $86 million extension, highest paid safety in NFL history.
Oh, wow.
I think the more important one is this cornerback Rock Ya-Sin.
I was just about to point him out, dude. I wouldn't want to get tackled by that guy.
All right.
Yeah, but he's not getting paid $1.7 billion.
No, he's not.
So I'm curious. So yeah, we got the Lions. A lot of people thought they were going to make it to the Super Bowl last season. Don't quite make it for the reasons stated here. What do you think is the ceiling for this team going into the season? Where's appropriate here?
This is tough.
My
Mm,
gut, my heart wants to say Super Bowl contender, but I just know that
Same.
I don't think that's true. I just
I
don't
think
think
it's divisional.
true. I do. I think they're probably gonna get bounced divisional round, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree.
So does that
Yeah,
mean
they're probably going deep playoff run.
Yeah, I'd stick them in deep playoff
See,
run.
I'm so scared for them though. I don't think they'll miss the playoffs. They'll make the playoffs,
No, they'll make the playoffs.
but
They
they
certainly
could get
will.
bounced in the first round.
They are also
They
playing
could.
in the hardest division in the NFC.
Yeah.
Yep.
Especially if
Yeah.
JJ McCarthy comes in and is, I
It's-
feel like it's not that hard to be what Sam Darnold was last year.
Yeah, and
you know,
McCarthy was like really
if he's
hyped
better
up
than
by
that.
that coaching staff too.
Yeah.
So if their belief in him is true, he could have a great year.
Yeah, we could literally have 3 teams that are all like 50 or like 14-3 type shit
Mhm.
battling for first.
Yeah.
I don't think
I can see that.
I don't think the Lions will be able to replicate 15-2. I think they're going to
Yeah,
fall
it's gonna
off,
be
but
tough.
it'll still be playoff material.
Yeah, they'll definitely still have double-digit wins, I think. Maybe
Yeah.
10 or 11.
I'm feeling 11 or 12.
I could see
Yeah.
11 or 12. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just that NFC is so deep. Getting past the divisional round is tough for any of these teams that aren't
Yeah.
named the Eagles.
I'm worried about their coaching staff. If they're
Yeah.
not a strong unit, the management of the team is going to crumble.
Yeah, we'll talk about where their OC ended up in just a second, but we have one more team before we get there. We got the Minnesota Vikings, another maybe the biggest shock of all of last season, I would say, going in, all told. In 2024, they finished 14-3. They were fighting tooth and nail with the Lions up until like the very bitter end to see who was going to win that division, and they ended up getting beat out here. But they did finish second, and then they dropped 9 points in the wild card and lost to the Rams 9-27. So they got knocked out immediately. So let's look at the Carfax over here. They were 9th in the NFL in points for, 25.4 points per game. They were 5th in the NFL in points against with 19.5. They were 12th in the NFL in total offensive yards with 346.9. 16th, smack dab in the middle, 335.4 yards allowed, and a plus 12 turnover differential, which tied them for 3rd in the NFL. And then looking at our statistical leaders over here, 2 out of 3 are returning for the season. Sam Darnold had the absolute season of his career. Over 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 12 interceptions. Aaron Jones led their run game, and Justin Jefferson, of course, their receiving leader. All 3 of these played all 17 games, notably as well. So no injuries to to these 3. Talk to me about the Vikings. I mean, maybe we should go into personnel changes first, but what do you guys want to say just about this season that they had?
Like you said, biggest shock.
Yeah.
I was shocked that they were doing so well, and then I was shocked that they choked so hard in the playoffs.
Yeah, I mean, they were literally 1 game away from being the number 1 seed in the NFC. Lost to the Lions, and then they lost in pretty shocking fashion to the Rams with the wild card round.
Yeah. It wasn't even close.
No, it wasn't.
It was just embarrassing for them.
Yeah, I'm kind of fearful that this might be the year that Justin Jefferson may not play 17 games again. So I think depending on his health and obviously other key players' health, we'll see how they go. I do not think they're going to replicate last season.
Oh.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult to do that.
Yeah. I'm bringing up the departures. Someone was about to say something, so go ahead. But on the screen is the departures.
Yeah, I mean, that's more departures than most people. Are they all important? Maybe not. I know.
I mean, the quarterback's
I'm pretty sure we have their center.
Yeah. I don't know if he was starting. I feel like there was something weird. Or did they draft a guy? They might have drafted a center. Either way, I don't think he was going to start this year, and then we stole him.
The
I think that
Vikings
was
had
something like that.
the Vikings had a noticeably slim draft. They had a lot. They had way less picks than everybody. They didn't pick in the second round. They only had like 5 picks, so they didn't pick in the second or the fourth or the seventh. So they only had like 5 picks, and they drafted like a wide receiver, which I feel like they don't fucking need. They did lose KJ Osborne, I suppose, but they still got Justin Jefferson and Addison. Well, now Addison's gone for 3 games, actually, so who knows?
Right. Sorry, Kevin. That's your boy, Jordan Addison.
Shame.
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 Wrong button, wrong lever, Kronk. So this is what they brought back / signed newly to the team. Jordan Mason is coming in to help their run game. And then we got some pieces, various, a lot of defensive signings over here. So I would say by and large, the Vikings are looking to just kind of run it back with the offense pretty much intact. They just have a new face throwing the ball, and we were talking about J.J. McCarthy earlier. I think a lot of the success of this team just kind of rides on is he ready to answer the call right away? So,
Yeah.
There's some good additions though.
Yeah, agreed.
I mean, like
A lot of big money deals here.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not bad.
a lot of sneaky guys. Ones
Yeah,
that like
can we talk about Josh Oliver? 3-year, $23 million deal for a tight end. I've never even heard of Josh Oliver. Am I out
I
of
have
the
no
loop
idea
here?
who that is either.
That's a lot of money. I feel like.
yeah.
They know something we don't.
American football.
Clear.
Drafts
tight
him in
end.
fantasy.
Well, Josh Oliver has been a Viking since 2023, so it was just an
What?
extension, I guess. I don't know. That's a lot of money, but they must really like him or something.
A lot of money for a guy who put up 258 yards last year on 28 targets.
When
He's
they
got to be good in
have-
like the blocking game, then, right?
Yeah, I don't know. He must play a role in that offense.
Maybe
Alright,
he was
well-
injured last year.
So, Vikings, where do
He's
we
not.
like to put them in this 2025 season? It's a lot. It's a lot of guesswork here.
Yeah,
is.
I mean, even in college, JJ was just kind of like a game manager type. Like he's like he reminds me of Alex Smith.
Okay.
He can throw some BBs, but he's not going to be like the run around, huck it in the air kind of guy. But with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, I mean, it might be okay. So I still think they're probably kind of in a similar spot with a lesser record. Wild card team, but not as many wins.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they're a
I
wild
can
card
do
team.
that.
I
Yeah.
think bouncing first round is a good spot to put him.
Yeah, I think that's looking prime.
I think that's very likely.
All right. We have one more team over here. 2 more teams. Green Bay Packers. I forgot that we didn't talk about the Packers yet.
Ooh.
The Packers finished also going into the season so unbelievably hyped. I don't know if anybody else remembers that. I was so high on Jordan Love. I took him in fantasy.
So did I.
This is what this turned into, an 11-6 record. They finished third in the NFC North, which did get them a wild card spot where they unfortunately had to play the Eagles, and they lost 10-22.
The Eagles were in the wild card? That's crazy.
Yep.
Lions
top-
took number
top-
1, so
Yeah.
Top
right.
heavy NFC. Yep. So by the numbers, and I was talking about this before the show started with a few people, the Packers were one of the most powerful teams, just like purely off of statistics in the NFL, and they turned that into an 11-win season. But 27.1 points per game was 8th in the NFL. They were 6th in points against with 19.9. They were 5th in the NFL in total offensive yards with 370.8 per game. 6th in the NFL in total defensive yards at 315.6, and they had a plus 12 turnover differential, which was tied for 3rd. And then Scott, was that you, Kevin?
yeah, I just don't know. the math isn't mathing in my head how you're this good in all of your stats and yet you only get 11 wins.
Right.
Right.
Like, shouldn't this be like a 15-win team? It just doesn't make sense to me. Like, how does that happen?
Like
But
that's very close to the Eagles.
Didn't
they must have had a
um,
fuck ton of 1-score games.
they had
Had to
that
be.
fucking they had that fucking backup play for like 3 games.
Jordan Love played
Malik-
15 games, so I don't
Yeah.
remember what was his name?
Malik
Malik Willis.
Willis. Yeah, I was gonna say Liberty guy.
So
But didn't they win the game? They won the game. He
they
played
won
one of the
them,
games.
yeah.
I think
Yes.
they did.
So just real quick, going over the statistical leaders on the offensive side of the ball. Jordan Love led the passing game, 3,400 yards, 25 touchdowns, 11 interceptions. Didn't quite live up to the expectations he might have had going into the season. I can say that from experience. Josh Jacobs, who was a new arrival for the season, had a fantastic season for them. And then Jaden Reed. There was a couple people who were like kind of at the top. Like Tucker Kraft, the tight end, was very close to being like the receiving yards leader. He had like a little over 700 yards, but Jaden Reed was their receiving leader on the season. Just how the things shook out.
Yeah. Just doing a double check, they only had a single game that they lost where it wasn't a 1-score game. Most of them are within 2 points, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
This is like
Yeah,
the
they also lost to the
anti-Chiefs.
Bears at the very end, so bad.
So yeah, this is the team that maybe has the least amount of changes. By the way, I remember now that I'm seeing this again, I'm noting on the departures and the arrivals. There's very few things that have changed. Some key people have moved around a little bit, but here's who is returning / signed new contracts on your screen here. Offensive tackle got a large extension. Zach Tom, 2 first names.
Never trust a man with 2 first names.
Another 4-year, $77 million deal. And then looking at departures, a lot. They lost a couple of people here. Jair Alexander's now a Raven. Yeah.
AJ
Packers.
Dillon leaving's kind of a sneaky loss, to be honest. He was a pretty solid running back.
I think his role. Now that they have Josh Jacobs, I guess they don't really need him in the role he was in when they had Aaron Jones, I suppose. But that is a depth piece that they're losing.
Might be a good pick for Eagles for fantasy.
Overall, though, the Packers, they're pretty much running it back with what they got here. They didn't make a whole lot of significant changes. Where do we want to put them on the tier list?
They did draft one of the best receivers in college. He runs a 4.2 40. Matthew
Damn.
Golden.
Okay.
Matthew Golden is very, very good. Well, 4.29, still 4.2. He's very good. He led like all of college football in catches. So yeah, and a lot of like plus plays, like 20. Led the college football in like plays over 20 yards. So he's really good. He's really, really good. And then they drafted another kid out of TCU who's like good enough. So I mean, I think Jordan Love's going to have a good season. I think they're going to sling it around a little bit. I think they're going to be as good as last year, and because the Vikings aren't as good, I think that moves the Packers up, if that makes sense.
I can see that.
I have 3 teams right now that are, because of how we're formatting this in this very weird train of none of them, they can't all fit in a very deep playoff run, but I don't think they all belong to be bounced. But like none of them I really see getting to Super Bowl contender. But like I also don't really see the Lions, and I'm like, I just don't know. So I just gotta suck it up and pick one of them. I think I'll go for a sneaky weird one. But Packers are definitely, I think they win at least one playoff game.
Yeah, I think they're at least. I'd put them in a very deep playoff run.
Yeah, I think last year they got unlucky. They like so many 1-score games, and then you have to go against the Eagles. And it's like, what are you gonna do, man? You lost to the Super Bowl winners,
Yeah, that's brutal.
As long as you don't hit the Super Bowl winners again, you're probably going pretty far. So I think we drop them right in there.
All right. Final team over here for the NFC North is the Chicago Bears.
The who?
Chicago Bears. Da Bears. So first season with a pretty revamped team. Caleb Williams coming in first overall, a couple offensive pieces added, etc. All that to go 5-12. Finished last place in their division. Did not make the playoffs. So in terms of points for, the Bears only averaged 18.2 per game, which was 28th in the league. 17.8 points per game is also, I don't think that's correct. No, maybe it is. No, it's not. They were 13th in the NFL in points against with 370, but I think I have the wrong average written down. They were bottom in the NFL in total offensive yards with 284.6 points per game. They were 27th in the NFL in total defensive yards allowed with 354.3, but they did have a +8 turnover differential, which was 9th in the NFL. So, mistake-free football, guys, but it didn't get them as far as they were hoping. Offensive leaders on the screen here. Caleb Williams only threw 6 interceptions in his first season. Shout out to that Bears fan who was really mad at us putting him in like C tier or something a couple weeks ago when Kev, Jay, and I did that. DeAndre Swift was their rushing leader, and DJ Moore was their receiving leader. The Bears did notably bring on Ben Johnson, who was the offensive coordinator for the Lions, so they have a new head coach coming in who will hopefully kind of actualize what this offense was designed to be. So I know we haven't like explicitly said this, but we don't have, coaching personnel as part of these signings and departures. So just want to point that out because it is one of the more significant head coaching hires of the season. Yeah. Tell me about the Bears, guys.
What's
The Bears are bad.
Yeah. They're they'll give the Cowboys a run for their money, maybe.
Yeah.
I'm interested to see who does worse.
Yeah, I'm looking at those stats, especially because, like, if you give up 28 or you're 28th in points for, so you're not scoring at all. Points against, you're not doing too bad, but your offensive yards are in the fucking toilet bowl. It just tells me that, like, with those turnovers, the defense got to be getting short fields for the offense to be able to even get 28th in the NFL in points for, I think if their defense was worse, that offense ain't doing shit. They're probably 32nd in the NFL for points for. Like, it's everything screams panic here. So,
I think they'll be a little better. Their draft was almost exclusively offense. They only went like 2 picks or 1 pick on defense. They got the second best tight end in the draft. They got a top 5 wide receiver in the draft. And then they went offensive tackle. They had like 3 second-round picks. So if you add one of the best receivers in the draft with a Dunze, fucking Cole Kmet, DJ Moore, it's really going to be all on if Caleb Williams actually can fucking play football.
which he can't, so they're doomed.
Yeah, which just I think held them back a lot last year.
They did pick up Joe Tooney, though. Big ups.
Yeah, I think they'll be a hair better than they were last year. I think they'll probably get like 8-ish wins, 8 or 9 wins, and be like that first team that doesn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, hypothetically, they should be in a better situation with Ben Johnson, but as we know, great offensive coordinators don't always work out at head coach, so still something to be seen there.
I know that is Patriots.
Yeah, we do.
Yeah.
And now
I
he's
have
back.
no faith. No faith that they choke out of the playoffs. I think they're drafting top 10 next year. I do think they're going to be better, but it's not hard to be better than what they were last year.
Yeah, I can't put them higher than drafting top 10 because there's a couple of solid teams that we've yet to talk about. And we're running out of real estate in terms of like the 17.
Put them next to the Cowboys. They're best friends now.
I'll put them in front of the Cowboys because I think
Cowboys suck.
Because we hate the Cowboys.
All right, let's move on to our next division. We got the NFC South, and we're going to talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Also, a very sneaky good team. We'll see in a second, but in 2024 they finished 10-7. They won the pretty weak NFC South with a 10-7 record. They lost the wild card to the Commanders by only 3 points, 20-23 in their wild card game. So looking at the season that they had, the Bucs were one of the best offenses in the NFL. That you can just see that right here from the eye test. 29.5 points per game was fourth in the NFL. I realized on a couple of these slides I didn't fix the average points against. I don't know why I didn't do that, but they allowed 385 points, which was 16th in the NFL. They were third in the NFL in total offensive yards, just under 400 a game at 399.5. 18th in the NFL in total defensive yards allowed, 341.8 per game. They did have a -5 turnover differential, however, which was tied for 20th in the NFL. And offensive leaders on the screen. Go ahead.
Just to fill in the blank, it's 22.6 points per game they averaged.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I must have. I don't remember what team. It was probably like the Eagles or something that had the 17.8 because I think that was the slide I copied and duplicated and fixed around. So that's my bad. But the actual number and where they are in the league is accurate. I guess I just forgot to change the average a couple times. But offensive leaders, Baker Mayfield, 4,500 yards this past season, 41 touchdowns. Bucky Irving kind of came in. It was his rookie season last year, right? Had a fantastic showing. He's going to be a hot fantasy commodity this season. And our boy, Mike Evans, he hit the 1,000-yard marker for, what was it, like the 9th year in a row, 8th year, something like that? Every year since he's been in the league.
I think he needs one more to, tie the record. I think it's
I think he's tied with Jerry Rice right now, yeah,
or
for most consecutive 1,000-yard seasons. So good for him. Chris Godwin, he's not listed here because he only played 7 games, I believe it was. So hopefully he's, healthy and ready to go on the season. So Buccaneers, tell me about them. How do we feel about them, their season?
They're fun. Baker Mayfield's fun. That's just that's all it is, man. They're just a fun team.
Fun team, bad defense.
Yeah. But I will say they did draft 2 top 15 cornerbacks in the draft. So that is something. And they drafted Emeka Egbuka, who's he's really good. Ohio State guy. So that's another wide receiver. So it's going to be Godwin, Emeka Egbuka, and Evans. So it's just like Chris Evans, almost like Chris Evans. I think it's just going to be hard to keep up with that. I don't know who else is going to be able to put up those kind of numbers.
I would also like to throw out there
just
they signed my man Sterling Shepard.
Oh boy,
1 year, $2.25 million deal. So my man's getting paid. I'm drafting him in fantasy, and my man's getting played. I'm telling you.
It's crazy how he's only going to get 500,000 of that guaranteed and get cut during minicamp.
Nah, I'm actually pretty sure he's a re-sign. He was there last year. I'm pretty sure.
So, on the screen is the re-signings and additions. We'll look at the departures. As far as other teams go, a pretty short list, but there are some names here that one would potentially recognize on the defensive side of the ball. The very fun offensive team. I think if their defense can perform similarly, or similar is a tall ask, but just better, closer to the median of the league. I think we're looking at like a 12 or 13 win season potentially for this team, but
I'm now realizing they're kind of like store brand Bengals. Their offense is a little worse and their defense is a little better. Like if you average the Bengals a little bit more.
I like that comparison.
That would be a fun Super Bowl if that ever actually happened, like with these rosters as they are, Bengals.
Oh
and
my
Bucs.
God, just lights out, just fucking
that would be fun.
hucking the ball.
All right. That's the Bucs. Where do we want to put them?
I think if everything goes well, everyone stays healthy. Is this where I'm going to put them on the tier list? No, but I think they could be like if everything goes perfect, a cowboy team that just goes out there flinging the fucking ball and scoring a lot of points. They could be up there with the Eagles in the NFC Championship. They'll lose, but I think that's kind of like their ceiling. I really do think they can get there. Yeah. I think at a bare minimum, they're in the playoffs, making at least a 1 or 2, 1 win at least.
Yep. This is my second of the three teams. Spoiler alert, the other one is the Rams, where I was just like, one of these three teams has to be a Super Bowl contender. One of them has to be a deep playoff run, and one of them has to be bounced. And I don't know. Like, it's
very tricky.
it's so
Yeah.
tough. I think for some reason my gut is just leaning Rams, which pushes the Bucks down to bounce in the first round. But realistically, I think any three of those teams could make a run. So it's like, you know,
I agree.
I guess they're,
I think if
I don't know.
Rams stay healthy, I think Rams fully healthy is a better team than the Bucks fully healthy.
It's
in my
tough.
Yeah.
opinion.
Matt
It's not by
Stafford
much.
Ain't young.
It's
anymore.
not by much. No, but he did just win a Super Bowl like what 2 or 3 years ago. It's not too far away. He still got some
Yeah.
juice in him.
It wasn't bad last year. It wasn't bad at all.
No, it was pretty good.
Yeah.
They did lose Cooper Cup, you know. So
They did.
I'm getting ahead of myself. I'm getting ahead of myself.
But yeah,
They I would say they replaced him with someone. Yeah, we'll get to the Rams.
Yeah, we're ahead of ourselves.
So
here.
where are we falling with the Bucks, boys?
I would
think
say
we have to bounce
first
them.
round knockoff.
yeah, we have to.
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. I'm the
I-
opposite. I'm more in Tampa Bay's camp than I am in the Rams camp.
Well, here's
think-
the thing though. Like we all said, any of these teams could make that spot. It's not
Yeah.
like it's solidified. We'll see. You know.
It's these three teams are entirely going to come down to the regular season and seeding. It's the bracket is going to do so much for these teams because
Right.
it's even the same as like last year. Imagine if the Commanders were not where they were sitting and the Lions played someone else. What if the Lions win? They get momentum. Maybe they sneak a win out against the Eagles and they get to the Super Bowl. You know, like it's the NFC is so dependent on seeding while the AFC is just like, all right, we got our three teams, that's it. But like this one, it's genuinely you do not know. A single regular season game could throw everything off balance.
Kev's spitting over here. I agree.
But for now, we keep them in bounced.
Someone's
we
got to be
put-
choked out of the playoffs.
but we
Someone-
respect them.
literally.
And
we might have that
And
team.
here it is, right
Speaking
here.
Segways, baby, segways.
So next up, we have the Atlanta Falcons, who finished 8-9 in their 2024 season. They brought in Kirk Cousins on tremendous money, and this is what it turned into. Did not make the playoffs. Stats wise, offense was doing the heavy lifting for this team, and that's not even saying a whole lot. So they did finish 13th in the NFL in points for 22.9 points per game. 389 points for total. They were 23rd in the NFL, however, in points against, 24.9. Sixth in the NFL in total offensive yards with 369.8 per game. 23rd in total defensive yards at 245.2 per game. That does not seem right. I think that's an incorrect average, but the number is correct on the top there. Yeah, I think the total defensive yards per game is the Eagles one. So there's that template rearing its head again. And then turnover differential was a -6. Which was 23rd in the NFL. Big reason why that was -6 was their new quarterback, Kirk Cousins, threw 16 interceptions in 14 games.
Yikes.
Fucking love Kirk Cousins, man.
Damn
Has
shame.
anybody else
Not
watched the
anymore.
new season of Quarterback on Netflix yet? He's one of the
Not yet.
featured. He's one of the featured quarterbacks again, and I haven't finished it, so I don't know how far. Like, I'm assuming he gets interviewed after being benched and whatever. But anywho, rushing leader was Bijan Robinson. That's from a fantasy standpoint, one of your top picks this season. Absolute dynamo of a guy that they got. And then Drake London was their receiving leader. Also had a very respectable, solid, pretty much top 10 season himself. So good for him.
I think 1,200 might be top 5 for receivers last year, right?
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Yeah.
We tier listed him. I think we threw him in A. We had to have.
Yep.
Yeah, we did. I remember that.
So it's not a re-signing or an addition. It's just a change. Right now, Michael Penix Jr. is going to be the starter for this team. So we'll just say that before we move on. But tell me about the season. Thoughts on the season that the Falcons had?
Only thing I need to say, they were the third team out of the playoffs. So prime time choke real estate right here.
Yeah.
I would imagine Michael Penix is probably going to be the starter next year. I don't know how much more they need to see of Kirk. They did have. I've taken up my role as the draft guy.
Yep.
They did have 2 first-round picks, and they got Jalen Walker, who was like the 4th best player in the draft, and they got him at 15. So they got him for a steal, and then they got that's a linebacker, and then they got an edge rusher who was the 4th best edge rusher in the draft, and they got him at 26th. So they got 2 really good guys for a steal, and then down in the 3rd round, they got 2 top 8 safeties way down in the 3rd round. So I mean, they had that's all they had. They only had like 5 picks. So they really and really that's kind of what they needed. So I mean, those are some big that's a big draft for them. That's a really big draft for them.
Before you just named all that, Spec, what I was going to say about the Falcons is their defense always is the reason why they are never like winning. Yeah, so it's good to see that they're actually focusing on the root cause there. So with that, it gives me hope that maybe they will still choke out of the playoffs.
Yeah, I think that's kind of where we're at.
Yeah.
I really think that's like the best they can hope for is like 9 wins, 8 wins, first team.
Yeah, I mean, they're not going to win that division. It's Tampa Bay's to lose at this point. So best they could do is a wild card, and that's going to be really competitive this year, especially with those teams in the NFC North.
Hey, they signed cornerback Kevin King, though. Didn't know I was playing for the Falcons.
Hey,
stop.
Hey, they did lose. I know Matthew Judon wasn't as good as he was for us in Atlanta. They did lose him. They did lose Grady Jarrett, another good tackle. So they don't really have, except for the new edge rusher they just drafted, the defense still might be kind of shaky. I think it's a good building block, but I really don't know, this isn't like some, base of the franchise kind of picks. Yeah. They're really good picks, but they're not like, holy shit, Abdul Carter picks.
Yeah, they still have some work to do.
All right.
Matthew Judon hasn't signed anywhere.
Nope. That's what I was just looking at.
Come back home.
We still have. There's a few really good rushers that are just kind of chilling. Trey Hendrickson is still dangling around. Micah Parsons is still, who knows what's going to happen there. Matthew Judon still. There's still some serious names out there.
All right. Where would we like to put the Atlanta Falcons?
They choke out of the playoffs for sure.
I think we're full agreement there. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. I think that's perfect for them. All right. Now we have the. This is incorrect because it says 3rd in the NFC South. Actually, no. I guess that is correct because the Saints did worse than them.
Believe it or not,
that's crazy.
They pulled off some wins at the end here.
Yeah. Wow. Wow. Okay. So the Carolina Panthers did not finish last in the NFC South. They actually finished 3rd with a 5-12 record. Did not make the playoffs, of course. Oof. Yeah. So they averaged 20.1.
Oh my god. And it just gets worse with the Saints?
Yeah. Oh. So the Panthers were 20.1 points per game, was 23rd in the NFL. Points against, they were dead last, bottom of the barrel in points against and total yards allowed, 32nd in the NFL. 34.1 points allowed per game and 404.5 yards allowed per game. On the offensive side of the ball, they were 29th in the NFL with 298 yards per game, and they had a -5 turnover differential, which was 22nd in the NFL. This might be the worst. It is like the worst, I think, a team has looked so far in the statistical side of things. This is even beating the Cowboys. Yeah.
That shit's got me crying. Just opening up, seeing 30-second oof.
I looked at this earlier today.
600 yards. Oh no.
Spect, can you save the Panthers with any draft recap? Did they do anything notable?
Get to them in a second. Let's give their offensive leaders their flowers. Like Adam Thielen was the receiving leader with 615 yards.
He played
Oh my
10
God.
games and he led them. Are you kidding me?
So Bryce Young was
Wow.
benched for Andy Dalton and then came back, and actually he earned some people's respect out here. He played pretty solidly at the end of the season when he came back in. Chuba Hubbard had a great season himself, coming in
He
as the
did.
lead rusher. Also got re-signed to some money. I don't remember the details. I'm sure we'll see that. Nope, he's not on here. But and then of course the receiving leader was Adam Thielen. I'll put re-signings and additions up on the screen. Spec, do you have some draft info for us?
They did have a good draft. They did have what many people were calling the number 1 wide receiver in the draft. They got him all the way down at 8. That was a guy I kind of thought the Patriots might look for, Tatoria McMillan. He was like a pretty. He's more. His comp is like a prime Michael Thomas. He's pretty good. He's a big fella. They did get a really good steal in the second round as well. They had a lot of they picked pretty consistently through the whole draft as well. They had some much needed defensive help too. They went edge back to back. They have Travis Etienne's brother. That's something. He was like decent enough at Georgia. And then they had a really deep steal in the 4th round. Latham Ranson was one of like the best safeties in college football, and they got him for fucking pennies in the 4th round. So they did have some meaningful defensive additions from the draft, and they picked a lot. So they did get a lot. They had more picks than the average team.
Okay, that's good.
On the screen, some departures. Yeah, I mean they lost a couple of defensive pieces here. That was pretty much, they only lost one offensive player actually. So if you don't count the kicker and punter over there, but sounds like they reinforced that a bit from their draft, and that's what they were mostly focusing on. So
I feel like I remember in all our previous tier lists, there was a lot of wide receivers and running backs that were like sneakily the number 1 on their team, and they went to the Panthers this season.
Rico
Which gives
Dowdle.
me hope. Yeah.
Rico Dowdle.
Also, speaking of Rico Dowdle, I just noticed this, and how atrocious running backs get paid is that their punter is making half of Rico Dowdle's salary.
That feels criminal.
Yeah, I mean Rico
It
Dowdle's
feels
had like
so
an 1,100 yard season, starting for the Cowboys.
Yeah,
He gets
and
paid twice as much as a punter. That's
But think about the
It's
amount of
just weird.
abuse the running back's gonna go through versus the punter.
yeah,
He is also
which is like,
the
but they're both
backup.
1-year deals. That's what I'm saying. Like, for one singular year, you're giving your running back only 2 times as much as a punter.
Oh, so
Like-
you're okay. I see what you're saying. You're saying he's underpaid. Okay.
Yeah, but
Yeah,
like
yeah,
Spec
yeah.
saying, he is a
running backs
backup.
are so underpaid.
He is
Yeah.
the RB2 on the team, but still,
Like the defined backup, like the
Well, let's
no
just-
doubt about it backup.
Remember when Zeke signed for like $8 million, and that was the highest annual average any running back had ever gotten? It's like crazy. Anyways, I'm
Yeah.
getting off track.
So, all told, I mean, the Panthers I think are going to be a kind of a fun team. You know what they maybe you don't agree with me on this, but I feel like they're kind of like the Jaguars of the NFC. Like, added some
I can see
things.
that.
There's some hopeful pieces there coming back from last season. The draft was exciting for them, at least from what Spec's describing. I feel like that's the team I would compare them to.
Yeah, that's a fair comp.
That's
See,
kind of what I'm feeling.
I'm gonna
but-
actually disagree
Do-
because I'm more excited for the Panthers than the Jags.
I could also
Yeah,
see
I-
that
I would
argument.
agree with that.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of people are
Um,
excited about the Panthers. Yeah.
Do you think that the Panthers are more of a choked out of the playoffs team, or are they like right in line with the Bears and the Cowboys? Because I feel like they're gonna do slightly better than the Cowboys. Maybe they get
think-
like 6 or 7 wins, but I don't think they're even gonna be in playoffs.
Yeah.
I can't put them anywhere above drafting top 10 personally. There's still
Okay.
a couple of teams that I think go above them.
It's still Bryce Young. Relax. It's
Yeah.
like it's still I'm with you. Top 10, I think. I don't think they're
we-
like some basement bottom of the bin team, but I think top 10 is fair.
No, I think
I'm
they
gonna
have the
be
most
so
potential
real.
of that bracket, though.
Yes.
I think they do choke out of the playoffs, but not that they're in the wild card race, but they're like the team that is consistently third, from the wild card. You get what I'm saying? Like they're the third team out.
It'll be like one
'Cause-
of those teams where you'll see like all the graphics of like if the Colts, not Colts, but if like the 49ers, the Cardinals, and the Rams all lose and the Saints tie.
Exactly.
Right.
They won't be eliminated from the playoffs until week 14, which is pretty good, because they went 5-12.
Yep.
The Falcons were third team out at 8-9.
Mhm.
3 more games is not that much, and I think they've made the right moves. I think they choke out of the playoffs. I think there's a couple other teams. I think the choked out of the playoffs is going to be a lot bigger here than the AFC. But I mean,
Yeah.
I think they have potential to be sitting there at like 8-9.
All right. We'll throw them in choked
Yeah,
out
I'm up
playoffs.
with it. Why
All
not?
right.
All right, sure. All right, we have one more team in the NFC South. That is the New Orleans Saints. They went 5-12 also, but they did finish
Wow.
last in the division.
Let's see it.
All right, so let's see it.
Wow.
It's not as bad as the Panthers.
Not nearly as bad as the
Mhm.
Panthers.
They were 19.9. Their 19.9 points per game was 24th in the NFL. Points against, there's that average I forgot to fix, but they allowed 398 points, which was 19th in the NFL. 21st in the NFL in total offensive yards at 320.1 per game. Total defensive yards, they were 30th in the NFL. They allowed 380 per game. -2 turnover differential was pretty much dead middle in the NFL. Passing leader was the dearly departed / retired Derek Carr. Alvin Kamara was their rushing leader. Jawan Johnson, the tight end, was their receiving leader. So I also threw in Alvin Kamara because he was pretty much right there in terms of receiving output. Yeah, they did draft a quarterback. And on that note, why don't you throw it out there, Spec, how their draft look, and I'll put their additions on the screen.
I just have a funny stat that I think is really funny to think about when you look at the
Sure.
Saints. They scored like 338 or something last year, or whatever it was. 91 of those points were in the first 2 weeks. So remember,
Wow. Yeah.
do you remember when we were like,
That's
dude,
insane.
the Saints are going to the Super Bowl? So yeah, they really were not that good. Okay, the thing about the quarterback they drafted, they passed a lot of other quarterbacks up to take Tyler Show, whatever you want to call him. Tyler Show is our age. He's 26. He entered college with Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields.
Okay.
He's really not good. He's just, in terms of quarterbacks for this year, he was good, but like in the grand scheme of quarterbacks, I don't think he's going to do anything special. Their first pick, Kelvin Banks, was very good. They drafted a tackle. He was one of the best tackles in the draft. Once you get past that, they were drafting things that they were literally just drafting for last year because those picks didn't work out. And even the guys they drafted this year weren't really that good. And then in the third round, they started drafting safeties, which they don't need. So they had one of the lesser drafts, like a C- kind of draft. So I think they're gonna be really bad next year.
I agree.
This
I
is
wish
one of
Brett
the-
was here to try and defend him.
This is
I
one
think
of those
they are
teams
like
where-
the worst team.
potentially,
Dude,
yeah.
Brett is shivering right now.
Yeah.
Do we have our
Right
second
next to the
candidate for
Giants.
first pick for Ever Dead Failure?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy. It's crazy that the Giants, I think, have more potential than the Saints.
Yeah, see, it's funny. Right before you said that, I
Yeah.
put the Giants in front of them.
yeah, it's
So,
like
yeah, I mean,
The
the
Giants
Saints
have
are
way
just-
more to look for.
the Saints somehow crashed and burned so hard last year, and for what? Like, we just got out of the plane wreckage. We're like, okay. We looked around and there's just nothing. There's no hope. Like, we're on a deserted island, and the only thing that's on this deserted island is sand. Like, there's no upside to this team. I don't know how they're going to improve.
Footballs on their island. They can't even practice.
Yep.
Said Austin.
That's crazy.
All right. Well, after that nugget of wisdom, we'll move on. Do you know Austin was a rapper, by the way? You gotta. All right. So,
Yeah.
the Los Angeles Rams. This is the fun team. One of them. This is a team I'm really high on going into the season. So, the Rams finished 2024 10-7 to win the NFC West. They did make it to the divisional round, and they lost to the Eagles in a very close game, 22-28. Which is funny because they didn't. When you look at the numbers, they don't look like a team that should have, maybe made it to where they did. But the Rams, and we'll get to reasons why that happened. But the Rams were 21.6 points per game, which is 20th in the NFL. There's that 17.8. I did this a few times, didn't I? So they had 386 points against, which was 17th in the NFL. Total offensive yards was 15th with 331.4 per game. Total defensive yards, 26 in the NFL, 353.1 a game. And their turnover differential was a +6, which was 13th in the NFL for the Rams. Statistical leaders on the offensive side of the ball, Matthew Stafford, of course, Kyron Williams, rushing leader, and then Puka Nacua was their receiving leader. We talked about him in our wide receiver tier list, but 1,000 yards in 11 games was really... That's a lot. That's a lot, So Puka is, he's, as long as he can stay healthy, he's one of your go-tos in fantasy in that first round. Just saying. So, what do you guys have to say about the Rams just for the season that they had? Oh,
this is the definition of a scrappy team. Like, you're looking at their stats, nothing is good, but they're smart with the ball. They keep it more than they turn it over. And, they were able to beat some really good teams just by simply being hard to play against. That's the only reason why I think they're going to go so far. Also that they made some really good additions. But, they're just scrappy. No one wants to play against this team,
That's what I was gonna say. Is that's the team everybody online is saying that's a team you don't want your team to play. No one wants to play this team.
Yep, they're a team that doesn't beat themselves, and like I said, they're just incredibly scrappy.
Yep.
How'd their draft go?
It was solid. They had a really good day one. They did trade out of the first round, but they gained a first round pick next year. So they'll have 2 first-round picks next year, which is, good. Which they'll probably end up taking a quarterback. I can't imagine Matt Stafford has too many years left. They got a really good tight end, which they really needed. They got one of the best tight ends in the draft. He is Oregon's all-time leader in tight ends in receptions and touchdowns. And he's fast as shit for a tight end. He's he runs like a 4.5, 4.6. And then they got a really good edge rusher in the 3rd round. Other than that, it was just kind of like a whatever draft. They just drafted kind of like things that they needed. Like a average B draft. So it was decent enough.
Okay. And we'll put departures on the screen. Well, we should also just name, one of the people that we're talking about as being an important signing is Devontae Adams, who signed a 2-year deal. Coming onto the team, and that was to supplement the loss of Cooper Kupp, who is now a Seahawk. We'll get to them in just a moment. But yeah, not a lot of people leaving the team. The Rams are like I said, one of my favorite teams coming into the season. I don't know quite what their ceiling is, and I'm curious what you guys think as we transition over to the tier list. Where do you guys want to put them?
I'm not even saying because I believe it. Someone has to go up there with the Eagles. You know what I mean? And I don't know who else it's going to be in these last 4 teams.
By our numbers right now, we only have one more spot for this first 3 tiers because that whatever team goes next brings us to 7. So,
and the when I was trying to do the mental math, and I was like, who is sitting up here with the Eagles? By all means, it should have been the Lions. But with how much they lost, I just don't know. And like I said, I had the 3 other teams that were just They could fit anywhere here. I picked the Rams to go the farthest. I just gut feeling. I think they're just going to be super scrappy this year, and they're going to fight their way through. Which I guess people are agreeing. Like by
Sixth highest
this
Vegas odds.
definition, if the Lions do what we think they do and just kind of falter off because of all their losses, then it will be Eagles Rams in that NFC Championship. But yet again, seeding depends on seeding. Who knows?
I think the Rams are the one team that goes up there because just looking forward, spoiler alert, I don't think any of these next 3 teams make the playoffs next year.
Yeah.
Vegas would disagree about the 49ers.
We'll talk about them.
That'll be the last team we get to.
Spiciest team.
So where did Cooper Kupp end up? I mentioned the Seattle Seahawks. We'll talk about them next. The Seahawks, they've changed quite a bit. So they finished 10-7 in the season, which was second in the NFC West. Did not make the playoffs. They were just about as like middle of the pack as you can get for most of these statistics here. They were 18th in the NFL in points for, 22.1 a game. They almost were exactly even on points against as well, 21.6 allowed per game, which was 11th in the NFL. 14th in the NFL in 367.2 with 367.2 offensive yards. They were 14th in the NFL in total defensive yards with 278.4 allowed. Did have a -6 turnover differential, which was tied for 25th. And then looking at their leaders over here, Geno Smith, no longer on the team, was their passing leader. Had another like for him a solid season, but a downturn in what he has been over the last couple of years. Kenneth Walker was their rushing leader, who was hurt on the season, did not play the entire thing. So Zach Charbonnet stepped in, had a significant workload as well. They both combined for 15 touchdowns. And then Jackson Smith and Jigba was their receiving leader, had a really solid breakout year, and is poised to hopefully run it back with their new quarterback, which is Sam Darnold. So I'll put this up on the screen. This is the other additions along with Cooper Kupp. A few other people that have joined the team. Spec, do you have anything to say about their draft?
They had what a lot of people called the best draft. They got some crazy, if you just go by like pre-draft rankings, they got some crazy picks. They got the number 1 guard in the entire draft at the 18th overall pick. They got the number 1 safety in college football at the number 3 pick in the 2nd round. They got the 3rd best tight end with the 18th pick in the 2nd round, and then then they got Jalen Milroe in the 3rd round, he was like a top 3 or 4 QB in the draft. And then even if you go down to like the 5th round, they were picking like guys who, were running, 4, 5 40s and, are top 15 at their position in the draft, and they got them down in like the 7th round. So they had a really good draft, and a lot of people called it the best draft. So they're going to be fun. They're going to be a really exciting team next year. I think I don't know if we're giving them enough credit, but I don't know who you take out. I have no idea.
Do you think they beat the Rams?
I think the Rams are the wrong team to talk about with that question.
Well, I only asked because they're like the division leader for them.
I think they can beat the Rams. Like, I think they might split. It's definitely possible.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
They both finished 10-7.
If they were to somehow meet in the playoffs, which they wouldn't, but the Rams win that game, I think. But
so I feel like
they split last year, but I think this year the Rams have the edge.
So I think that means that we got to slide the Seahawks into choke out.
Hold the phone though. The Seahawks do have the highest paid punter in the NFL, Michael Dixon.
I know.
Mike.
I know, right?
Oh,
so they're spending that money.
It's about $4 million per year. That's only $2 million off of us.
We go down on that.
Can somebody check Kenneth Walker's contract real quick in comparison? How is that?
That's a good point. Hold on. Let me pull that up for the class. All right. Sporttrack.com. Kenneth Walker. Hold on.
It's
what?
crazy.
That can't be he is making $2.6 million this year.
No way.
Wow.
I'm just making almost double what he's making.
Oh,
That's
So
insane.
Michael Dixon is
Jeez.
that's crazy.
Holy shit. Yeah,
Wow,
his base is
okay.
1.8 and his signing was 800K. So
Yikes.
2.6 mil.
I
God
looked up
damn.
Michael Dixon's
for
highlight
Michael
reel,
Dixon.
I guess.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I would kill any of you willingly to make that amount of money. So, isn't it funny?
Isn't it funny to put things in perspective?
So before we move on, we'll just talk about the departures. Some people have been with the team for, a very long time at this point. Geno Smith is now a Raider. Tyler Lockett is now a Titan, though he has been regressing for a while. And DK Metcalf is now a Steeler. Noah Fant, the tight end, was pretty solid for them the last couple of years, but it sounds like they have you said they drafted a tight end spec?
They drafted
Like a good
one of the
one?
best tight ends in college. Yes.
Yeah, so there you go. So
Your team,
Seahawks-
fantless.
Fantless.
Losing all of your fans.
Okay, what? Okay,
Lost
well,
two fans. What do you mean?
is there a pun I'm not picking up there? I don't.
Go back to the departures. It wasn't
they
only
lost
Noah
two
Fant,
Fant.
but it was their
George Fant.
tackle. George Fant.
George Fant. What? They have two?
Yeah.
I didn't. Okay.
No, you put the slide together. You didn't read your own side.
Dude, my eyes were glazed over. This was 80 slide, just copy and pasting
Yeah, his
shit.
eyes were glazed.
Like 7 teams have allowed 17.8 points per game. I don't know what to tell you. All right, so
Yeah,
where do you want to put the Seattle Seahawks at this juncture of all junctures?
Jump
They
up.
are, yeah, they're the best team right outside of playoffs. And there's
Yeah.
no doubt about that in my mind.
I would agree with that.
I also I kept thinking about it. Some of those games last year felt like Geno Smith needed to go and win them the game. I don't know if Sam Darnold can do that. Sam Darnold is a ball management kind of guy,
Yeah.
I don't know if this team is built for Sam Darnold. We'll see, but I don't see it. That hasn't been the Seahawks identity for about, I don't know, when did Russell Wilson get drafted? Since like 2012, 10 or 12, 11, something like that. Like, it's been 13 years since they've had just a game management QB, not a absolute dog who can go out there and fucking huck it if you need it.
Yeah.
Okay. We got 2 more teams. We're doing great. All right, Arizona Cardinals are up next. They finished 8-9 on the season in 2024. Did not make the playoffs, of course. Another just definition of middle of the pack team here. They were 12th in the NFL in points for with 23.5, 15th in the NFL in points against with 22.3 points per game. Total offensive yards 6,090 was 11th in the NFL, 358.2. Total defensive yards was 21st in the NFL with 342.5 allowed per game. -3 turnover differential for the Cardinals over here. And then they have their offensive leaders, Kyler Murray. He played the entire season, and he had a decent one, all told. James Conner was their leading rusher, and Trey McBride was their receiving leader, who had a fantastic season, and I believe he got paid as well. I think he might be the highest paid tight end in the league currently. I can fact check myself after, but I also put Marvin Harrison stats just because that's the name that everybody remembers coming onto the season. And so I threw him on there as well. And yeah, Trey McBride signed a $76 million extension, just for the record. So Cardinals season, how do we feel about them right now? The season that they had.
They kind of frustrate me a little bit.
Yeah. They're the definition of a mid-ass team.
They really are.
On paper, they look so good. And then they just don't perform. It's aggravating.
Mm-hmm.
Kyler Murray's supposed to be an elite quarterback. He didn't even have 4,000 yards last season.
Yeah. Yeah. Nowadays, if you want to even just have a good season, you need 4,000 yards, it seems like, with the amount QBs are putting up. I mean, you look at these stats. Your rushing leader got over 1,000 yards. Your receiving leader, a fucking tight end, got over 1,000 yards. Your next wide receiver, not too far off of 1,000 yards. how are you not winning games? You know, this team is stuck in purgatory. Like they will never be the worst team, so they can't get a good pick. They'll never be the best team, so they can't win anything. You know, like they're
Yep.
just gonna be forever stuck
Yeah.
at
Yep.
Yeah.
like the middle of the pack.
They kind of just beat bad teams and lost to all the good teams. Like they lost to the Buffaloes,
Exactly.
the Washingtons, the Green Bays, the Minnesotas, but they beat like San Fran, they beat Los Angeles, they beat Miami. It's like woohoo. They definitely know where the problem is. They had 7 picks in the draft and they drafted all defense. They didn't draft a single offensive player. They had another A rank draft, according to NFL.com. They got a lot of top numbers at their positions: the number 2 cornerback, the number 3 pass rusher, the number 8 edge rusher, the number 6 linebacker. So I mean, they got some college names that were really good. Oh, I apologize. They drafted 1 offensive guard. So yeah, they're loading up on defense, but I don't know if
Dude.
it's enough to help them this year.
Some of these games are just it hurts to look at their
They're
schedule because
ugly scores.
they
have a
had
lot of
that
ugly
game
scores.
against the Bills where I remember they almost won that. Like that was very first game of the season. They lost 34-28. That's pretty damn close. Then the Rams 41-10. But then they're putting up games in the season where it's like they lose 6-16 against the Seahawks.
They went to
They
OT
lose
against Carolina.
9-13 against the Rams. Like how do you have these monster games against good teams and then all of a sudden just put up, fucking 6 points, 9 points? Yeah, going to OT against the fucking Panthers and losing. Like they're in purgatory. I hate this team, man. I hate them just because they're like they should be good, but they suck, and it frustrates me. Like, not even close. I think they are the best team in drafting top 10.
I agree.
Because the best team in drafting top 10 has the worst pick of the draft. Because like I said, at least the teams at the end of the first round are winning games and have hope. If you're picking around like the low teens, dude, I feel bad for you. Like, you got nothing going for you.
Okay.
Yeah.
He has spoken. And our final team that we have to put on this list here is the San Francisco 49ers. Okay. So, 49ers.
Another frustrating team.
Talk about
Incredibly
frustrating. So,
This one has reasons for it,
6-11 finish. 4th in the NFC West. Did not make the playoffs. By the numbers, this is a crazy fucking lineup here, but they were 13th in points for with 22.9 per game. They allowed 25.6 a game, which was 29th in the NFL. But they were 4th in the NFL in total offensive yards with 376.3. And they were also 8th in the NFL in total defensive yards with 317.4.
What?
And then they had a minus 10 turnover differential, which was 27th in the NFL.
Wow.
There's a lot to unpack.
That's
That's a lot.
crazy.
How does that happen? Okay, wait, how? Like,
Because
are they
can get
getting
ball
all
to
the way
end
down the
zone and then
field,
they turn it over?
turning it over? But then,
yeah.
But then, like, they get a stop, right? Because their defensive yards are good. And then they must turn it over immediately when they get the ball back after the punt. And that's why, there's just a gap of 40 yards in the middle of the field that the other team didn't need to go across.
Here's something that makes me
Yeah.
upset. The by the numbers is the wrong color on the second slide. I think I kept the Cardinals color on there by accident, so it changes. So
Get fucked.
I'm in shambles. Hold on. I'm going to change this live right now. Present.
Hey,
all
there
right.
you
So
go.
their passing leader was Brock Purdy, who played I almost said all 15 games. He played 15 games. He did not play the entire season. Jordan Mason was their leading rusher, who is no longer on the team. Why can I not remember where he is? Does anybody remember off the top of their head?
In Minnesota?
Minnesota.
Yeah.
Thank you. I did put Christian McCaffrey there because he would have been otherwise. He only played 4 games. Austin would know a lot about that. And then George Kittle was their receiving leader on the season. Played 15 games. another great season for him. He is not slowing down a whole lot. So good for you, George Kittle. Let's talk about the 49ers season, boys.
I think it just came down to injuries. At least you can get an excuse, right? Like Debo was hurt a lot. Christian McCaffrey was hurt the entire season. You know, like
Brandon Ayuk battled injury too.
Brock Purdy got hurt for a couple games, right? 2 games.
Yep. Yeah, so a lot of your top options were hurt on and off throughout the whole year.
And I feel like I remember even the games Brock Purdy did play. Like some of those 15 might be he went in for 2 drives and then he hurt his wrist or something, you know, and he came off. Like they just weren't healthy. So at least you have an excuse for them on why they were so bad. You know, their pieces are still good. So,
right. I mean, I think fully healthy, this team can make the playoffs. Obviously, they've done it before. I don't know if they're gonna go far in the playoffs. Granted, the other talent on the other teams, but I don't know. Injuries are a big question mark.
Yeah, it kind of feels like this team's window to win a Super Bowl is closed.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, like their season is a deep playoff, right? Like that's a ceiling. Is like,
yeah.
But I just don't see them doing that right now.
Yeah,
100%.
Do you have any draft info that we should know? Respect.
They had an okay draft. PFF puts it at a B. They did draft Michael Williams, a very good edge rusher. They went heavy defense. Edge rusher, defensive tackle in the 2nd round, linebacker in the 3rd, cornerback in the 4th, defensive tackle in the 4th. They did draft like 1 wide receiver and a running back in there, but like they're just kind of guys. Jordan James is pretty good. He's a sneaky running back, especially if Christian McCaffrey. Let me rephrase. When Christian McCaffrey gets hurt, Jordan James might be a sneaky rookie to look for. But other than that, they just had a normal B average draft.
They also have that other guy, right? That was behind Mason. What was his name?
Isaac Garendo.
Yes.
Garendo. Is he still there or did he move?
He's still there.
Okay.
Well, the 49ers typically run running backs in 3s because the second one usually gets hurt too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all sleeping on the Mac Jones
Oh
edition.
my.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so here's
Mac Jones jump
departures.
scare, baby.
Mac Jones jump scare.
Oof.
This has got to be the longest list we've seen.
This looks
They
rough.
lost Rocky Sin.
There you go. Yep.
Oh, Rocky Sin.
But he's on our Lions now.
They lost 2 punters.
Tragic.
Why did they?
Wisnowski.
They're probably chasing big money, you know, like $6 million a year.
Yeah, literally.
They can afford their own bets.
Yeah, it's tough. You hate to see it. I don't know. This team, was it Jay that said their championship window is closed? I think that's where I sit with them. And we have to see what a healthy version of this team looks like. But unfortunately, there are a lot of damn good teams in this conference now. So it's not going to be as easy as it was, 3 years ago, to make the Super Bowl like they did. Yeah.
I have a feeling they will be realistically end of the season. They're going to be sitting right in between the Falcons and Panthers here.
I can see
Their
that.
Absolute dream would be to make divisional round. Like that is the highest I see.
That'd be their Super Bowl.
Yeah. But,
Yeah, I agree with that.
I think it could be a toss-up between Falcons and 49ers, but I just have a little more faith in the Falcons this year. I don't know why.
Let it be known, again, the Vegas odds have the 49ers at the 7th highest odds to win the
That's
Super
so
Bowl.
crazy, man.
Crazy.
That's
insane.
insane.
It's based off name value.
Oh, I'm not about to do that. I was like, what happens if I click it? I'm not. How much are we putting down, boys? All right. Go ahead.
There's a lot that is just going off of name value and like people being hyped because the Bengals being that high, like we all know it. We would love for them to be that high, but their defense will not let them be that high. They have no shot, like I mean, if you just look at the area around them, I think the Texans go farther than I think the Broncos go farther than them. The Chargers probably go farther than the Bengals, but the Bucks definitely go
Buccaneers.
farther than the
That's
Bengals.
crazy.
So, but like, it's just some of these bets are just name value and hype.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm gonna keep saying Bengals revenge tour until it's right. One of these days,
I
it'll be right.
so want it.
I would love to see it.
I said it last year. You should have
We
saw
all
when
would.
Noah was asking for like our offensive player of the year MVPs. It was just the Bengals. That was just that was all my picks. I was like Joe Burrow MVP, Jamar Chase offensive player of the year. And honestly, I probably was
close.
right, but because they didn't win, Joe Burrow didn't win MVP.
Yeah, I mean, Chase had the Triple Crown, and
if they even made the playoffs, Joe Burrow's probably the MVP.
100%.
Oh, for sure.
100%.
All right. So let's wrap up here. We're 10 minutes away from 2 hours. We probably need just about that much time to have this final portion of the conversation. For audio listeners, and just for the sake of here's where we are at now, I will name the tiers, and then we'll go ahead and make sure these are in order, and then we'll just go from there. So starting at the bottom, we have the first pick forever dead failure tier with the New York Giants and the New Orleans Saints in that order. How do we feel about that? Accurate?
Perfect.
Good to go?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have the drafting top 10 next year tier with the Arizona Cardinals, Chicago Bears, and the Dallas Cowboys. Is this the right order for this tier?
Yeah.
I think the Cowboys
Yeah.
could be ahead of the Bears, but I love the Cowboys hate, so I'm fine with
Yeah,
leaving them down there.
I was kind of thinking the same thing. Like, realistically, the Cowboys probably go in front of them, but all right. Now we have the choked out of playoffs tier with the Seattle Seahawks, San Francisco 49ers, Atlanta Falcons, and Carolina Panthers. For me,
Like
I would throw the Falcons or the Panthers down, and it'd probably be the Panthers for me. I think they're a tier below right now until I see some more out of them.
Only thing I would do is swap Falcons and Niners. Because, like, I just have more faith in the Falcons, and I think the Panthers are more exciting and have more potential than the Cardinals. I think the Cardinals are in purgatory, and they will just be mediocre dog shit the whole year,
Yeah, I agree.
Panthers could be sneaky.
Well, if you ask me which team's going to win more games this
Yeah.
season, I would pick the Cardinals over the Panthers.
I would
Yeah,
also say that.
I guess I am playing the high side for the Panthers, but I don't know. I'll let you guys.
What about Jay?
I would say
Respect?
let's knock the Panthers down one, just so they're. I mean, I don't think they can be that much better than the Cardinals, realistically.
Yeah.
I would knock the Panthers.
I'd agree with that.
Knock them down, but put them ahead of the Cardinals? Handshake?
No.
Sure.
I would put the Panthers still after the Cardinals.
Wow.
Yeah, same.
Maybe above the Bears.
Frankly, I don't know. If we're just talking, I should have said it when we actually brought it up. Pure potential, pure things to look forward to. I think the Bears have the most potential in that whole row. The new it's just Caleb Williams. He's got the line, he's got the weapons, he's got the defense. I think they have the most to look forward to now with Ben Johnson.
It's
I would
crazy
even put
how
the Bears ahead of the Cardinals.
the most important part of the team is their weakest link.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
That drags them down quite a bit.
I will
for me.
refuse to bring them any higher. I think the Bears are going to be so bad, but put the Panthers in front of the Bears for me. At least, come on. Give me that.
I agree. No, I'm with
Panthers
you on
are
that
exciting.
All right. So now we have what we think is going to be the 7 playoff teams. We have the bounced in the first round tier with the Washington Commanders, Minnesota Vikings, and Tampa Bay Buccaneers. How do we want to order this?
I think Bucks to the top.
I was gonna say the same.
I
Bucks to
agree.
the top.
I could even see the Bucks making the hop up to the next tier and dragging one of them down. But it's
I think,
but
guys, I think we are just too infatuated with the Bucks because didn't the Commanders and the Vikings have like 15 and 14 wins, and the Bucks had 10 last season?
Yeah, the only thing I'll go with your argument is the Commanders did beat the Bucks in the first round of the playoffs, but the Vikings choked hard. Like they were
but the
so bad in
Vikings
the playoffs.
choked hard later in the playoffs, didn't they?
No, first round.
We lost in the
first
wild
round,
card to
They
the
got
Rams.
ruined in the wild card to the Rams.
I thought it was
So
Yeah,
Like I said, this depends on seeding. If the Bucks get the Vikings in the first round, I think the Bucks flatten the Vikings in the first round. You know, but
I think if you want to talk about question marks at quarterback, the Vikings have the biggest one.
yeah,
certainly.
Jaden Daniels is the least of the question marks. Maybe he's only done it once, but he has the least amount of weapons.
Yeah.
Baker Mayfield is the more middle of the question marks, but he has weapons out the ass. So that's kind of where I'm at.
That's fair. Okay.
And they're trying to. They made some moves for their defense, right? Like as we were looking.
They did. Yeah, they did.
So I have a lot of faith in the. I almost want to swap the Packers in the Bucks, but I have a little more faith. I have just a little more faith that the Packers will get a little more lucky.
No, I kind of
I'd be
agree with
hesitant.
you. I would agree with you.
I'm so with it.
It's such a toss up.
I think the Bucks would beat the Packers 9 times out of 10.
Surely the Packers are better odds to win. Surely
the Bucks are.
Are the Bucks really?
It looks like there's somewhere around that's like 10-ish, and the Bucks looks like right in the middle.
Disrespect.
Man, that's crazy.
I think just looking at the stats last year, how the Packers were top 6 in like everything.
Well, that's what I was going back to right now.
They just had so many one-score games they didn't sneak out. And then
that's why we leave them. I think we leave them above the Bucks because they just are a more complete team, and that's exactly what really counts. You know.
Yeah. And what was their first round again? What did they lose?
They lost the Eagles.
Eagles. Yeah, the Eagles. I mean, they put up a better performance against the Eagles than the Chiefs did.
Yeah, I think the Packers are probably the better team. The Bucks just have the big names to chase.
Yeah.
But the Packers have the good players that aren't as famous, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, that's yeah. All right. So we feel good about that then. So we have the Bucks, Commanders, and Vikings in bounce in the first round.
Yeah. I think so.
All right. Then we have the very deep playoff run tier. So we're talking divisional round is their floor according to us. So we have the Detroit Lions and Green Bay Packers in that order. I think that's pretty much spot on if we're keeping the top tier where it is. So the Super Bowl contender tier, we have the Philadelphia Eagles and the Los Angeles Rams as our second favorite to be in that NFC Championship game. Now that we've discussed all the teams, are we still rocking with the Rams in this way right now?
I think we are.
Yeah.
I think we're all in agreement on those 3 teams. Like the Rams, Packers, and Bucks, like any one of them could sneak into the NFC Championship team or game. It's just a matter of who will do it.
It's really it's a race to lose to the Eagles, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's really what it is.
I'm just bringing this up. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I'm bringing up our AFC one as well real quick, but
I don't know if either of those guys beat the Eagles either. What can I ask? What prompted the Broncos' deep playoff run?
They're dangerous, and everyone else sucks.
I think it was that we liked them better than the teams in bounced in first round.
They have a lot more upside.
Yeah.
They brought back a lot of what made them successful last season.
Yeah, I think it was also Bo Nix won them games while CJ Stroud lost them games. There's that's kind of the key. Chargers weren't really doing anything, and then the Steelers, I think, are honestly going to be bums this year, but they'll probably still find a way to make the playoffs.
I think the Steelers they'll win their 9 games or 10 games and keep that over 500 record going.
Yeah.
All right.
So.
Yeah, we could. I'll click away from it because we'll probably talk about AFC forever if I do that. But I just wanted to bring it up. So we do have the top 4 teams between our 2 tier lists as the Eagles, Rams, Bills, and Ravens. I think the Rams is the only maybe hot take out of those 4 that we put together. But I'm rocking with it. Why not?
Yeah.
If it's Chiefs Eagles again, I'm probably gonna jump off a bridge.
We'll see.
If it's Lions Bengals, then world peace will be solved.
Yeah.
Dude, if it's Lions Bengals, we're renting out a movie theater to watch that Super Bowl, dude.
I know.
sick.
Don't forget Bengals Bucks though. That's the
Bengals Bucks, that's the second
Bengals
option.
Bucks, you're right. Yeah, that's the second option.
All right, boys. We're closing it on 2 hours pretty much right now from when I hit start streaming. So we'll wrap up there. A reminder to all of you guys, and then whoever's still watching and whoever's listening later on, we're going to try to do one more big season preview show where we predict playoff brackets and, end of season awards and all that stuff. So we'll try to hopefully nail down a time to do that. And then I think Monday nights are going to be hopefully a regular evening where we'll do the podcast. And we'll kind of see how that morphs throughout the season. So there's just something to think about. But any final thoughts from you guys before we sign off?
Final thoughts. Ravens up 21-9 on the Colts with 10-11 left in the third. Eagles up 24-14 against the Bengals at halftime. And Raiders Seahawks will be at 10 p.m.
Anthony Richardson got blown up and had to leave the game.
Wait,
Oh my God!
No.
Whoa, where did
Poor
we put him
guy.
in the tier list?
Yeah,
Dead last.
Yeah, he got like totally like free rushed. Like no one even touched
Leaves
the guy.
with
and he
finger
got
injury.
blown up. Yeah, his finger was bent out of shape, is what I read.
Here.
I think it's that
wait,
one.
it says David Ojabo mauls Richardson
Dude,
for 8
dude,
yards.
look at this.
sack. Hold on.
He doesn't even get sniffed on this rush right here, dude. Yeah. He literally not even for a second. No one even thinks about blocking this guy,
Nobody
dude.
picks
The
him
running
up.
back ran right by him.
Dude, imagine watching your starting quarterback get blown up
Wow.
like this in the first preseason game.
Daniel Jones time, baby. Time to move them up the tier list.
All right,
Jeez.
guys.
That's crazy.
We'll wrap it up there. Thanks for everybody for hanging out with us this evening. It's been a pleasure as always. For your boys from 4 Quarters of a Whole Idiot podcast, we will catch you in the next one. Peace out. Go Patriots, baby.
Peace.
Go
Pats
Pats,
Nation.
baby.
Go
Go
Pats.
Pats.